Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. My name is Joe Orchard, I'm your host. I am here today with Gerry Nelson. He is a photographer, fashion icon, musician, artist, does a bit of it all, and is great at it. We are here today to talk about his brand new gallery, Dressed Not Styled. Gerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
No,
it's
you're
a
very
pleasure to be here.
Of course, and it's been a while since we've caught up.
Well, as we were saying earlier, 4 years.
Something like that.
4 years, man.
Where does all the time go?
Yeah, your hair's grown longer, my hair's grown grayer.
That's right, yeah. Tell me about the exhibition and what it's all about.
Okay, so the exhibition is on menswear in Melbourne, and this first exhibition has 17 subjects, all men. The reason for that is twofold. So when you think about menswear, the places that come to mind are Paris, Milan, London, Tokyo, New York. Melbourne has its fair share of well-dressed men. And having been in this kind of scene since about 2011, I know quite a lot of these guys. So I wanted to highlight that to the rest of the world. But the second thing is that I wanted this first exhibition to be all men, because often you find that in the fashion weeks, the fashion shows, 95% of the shows are women's fashion. I'm not sure whether there's any men's fashion going on in the Melbourne Fashion Week as well.
Really?
Yeah, I heard there wasn't a men's show. But anyway, in any case, it's one area that's completely dominated by women. So this is my chance of highlighting the men that dress well. And the second thing is, title of the exhibition is Dressed Not Styled. So what that means is they're dressed authentically. How I photographed them, they didn't dress for the shoot. It's how they normally dress.
Okay.
They may have styled themselves a little bit because they're being photographed, but this is how these guys normally dress. So they're all well dressed in all different aesthetics as well.
Amazing.
So I wanted to capture the authentic essence of these guys.
I know with a lot of the photos on your page, it typically leans more towards formal wear.
Yes.
I'm sure you're going to have part of that involved in the gallery.
Yes.
But what other types of styles can we expect to see at the gallery?
Oh, you can expect streetwear. One subject in particular.
Yeah.
Hisham.
Okay.
He is in his normal ninja goth style. And of course you have tailored menswear as well. There's suits, there's odd jackets and trousers. There's even one person in shorts.
Okay.
So, but all of them indisputably look excellent.
Okay, so how do you build rapport with the model to then photograph them?
Okay, so it helps that I've known these guys, but in some cases I met them for the first time a few months ago, and this may be the second time I'm meeting them. What I like to do is, before the shoot, have a coffee, spend half an hour just talking about anything, how they are, what's on their mind, not necessarily for the shoot. That helps to build a rapport. But the second thing is that when I shoot people, I'm always trying to get them in their best light. I want all my photos to be, all the photos I share anyway, to be good enough to hang on the wall. So in that case, they can see that I'm trying to make them look their best, and I show them what I've shot. One of the tricks of the trade is, while you're shooting, be encouraging to the model.
Yep.
You know, look at the back of your camera, look at it. Oh, that's fantastic. You look awesome. Just move it. Oh my God, I love that. You know, point out details. You're just flattering them. You know, not without reason.
Yeah.
You know, don't be fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to lean into that aspect of what you love about the subject. Because I think if you love the subject you're photographing, whether it's a person, whether it's a place, whether it's a thing, that shows up in your image.
Fantastic. Tell me about the exhibition space, because it's quite unique.
Yes. So the exhibition is being held in a shop called Informale, which is 186 Little Collins Street in the CBD. It's a menswear shop, and their style tends to be tailored workwear, military wear, that kind of thing. So this jacket's from there, so these trousers. I wear quite a lot of their clothes, and I really like them. But the store itself is very welcoming. You can go there and they don't make you feel as if you're wasting their time. There's no pressure to buy anything, but the clothes are fantastic. So it's one of those places that has a limited color palette that's very well thought out. And I've given this example many times, blindfold yourself, walk in there, randomly pick out a jacket, a pair of trousers, a shirt.
Really?
And they will all work together because it's a color palette of navy, olive, khaki, gray, and those colors all work well together. So, and the clothes are very well thought out as well in terms of the design. So Steve Calder and his wife Dana, they are the owners of Informale and the designers. And Thomas is the manager. So Steve and Thomas are both in the exhibition as well.
Okay.
So when I mentioned having the exhibition in their space, Steve was just all for it. He's the one who actually reminded me about it when I'd forgotten. So I talked about it with him last year. I said, what do you think of this? He was like, yeah, let's do it. And then things quietened down, and it kind of slipped my mind till I got an email from Steve saying, hey, are you still keen on your exhibition? Because we need to schedule it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been fantastic. They've all been fantastic in the store. The space is, it's a retail menswear store, and I believe this is the first kind of exhibition they're having.
Okay.
So it ties in well because a few of the people are wearing Informale just by chance, but because it's menswear in a menswear store, it's I feel it's in the right space and it has the right vibe.
I find it very interesting with the place that you exhibit your art.
Yes.
And so it could just be in a simple gallery with white walls, standard floor, and you just sort of walk through it. And that's the sort of exhibition experience. But I like that you've paired it with a store because there's actually a tangible connection to the photos. You can see some of the clothes potentially in the photos in real life. So that's really cool. Was that always the idea with your exhibition to display the photos at a men's store, or did that come a bit later on?
I've always had the idea I wasn't too fussed about where they were going to be displayed to begin with. But honestly, when I broached the idea to Steve, that was when the idea was germinating.
Yep.
So it all fell together that Informale was the natural place to have this.
Tell me about the menswear community, because we were speaking before we hopped on, and you said some really interesting stuff about it.
So the menswear community in Melbourne used to get together ad hoc for drinks, for dinner, that kind of thing. And we're talking back in 2011. So from then till about 2015, 2016, as people got on with their lives, those activities dropped. Then of course COVID hit and we all had to be indoors working from home. The isolation happened, it killed off all those things. But before that, people used to get together. It was the era of hashtag menswear on Tumblr as well.
Yeah.
And it was all about, people were into what was happening in Pitti Uomo in Florence in Italy. Mm-hmm. People were looking at trends all over the world, like the tailored menswear trends, that kind of thing. There's a website called Style Forum that I was on quite a lot, and I met a lot of the Aussies that way as well. There's a very active Aussie members thread.
Really?
Yeah, extremely active. It's kind of its own sub-forum in that forum.
Okay.
And so a lot of the Melbourne guys, especially, more than the Sydney-siders or Brisbaneers or whatever, used to get together regularly. But as I say, that kind of died off as people got busy with their families, with their own businesses. So a few of these guys I knew before they started the menswear labels they're in now. So they're busy with all that kind of stuff, and that, you kind of killed it off. So part of this exhibition, the reason behind this is, well, I wanted to kind of bring them back together. I miss my old friends.
Yeah.
So it's very selfish in that way. But, I've got three main interests: menswear, photography, and music. And I've been doing those separately, but I've started to think about how to combine. So I play the guitar. I've done photographs of my guitars that have been shared by the brand that makes the
Okay.
guitar,
Wow.
which is great.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, I did a lot of outfit shots of myself. So that was a way of combining it. But now I want to highlight the other people. And so this was a way to hang out with my friends, take really good photos of them, and hopefully highlight it to everybody else as well.
When you were taking photos of yourself,
Yes.
were you just setting up the camera on a tripod?
It was great because the camera I was using had a Bluetooth connection to an app on the phone.
Right.
So it had live view on it. I could set my aperture, shutter speed, ISO, get the focus point right. And then it was just a question of putting the timer and sticking the phone in the pocket and
right.
posing.
Yeah.
So you get very used to doing that very quickly. And so, I just have to take maybe 2 or 3 shots, and that would be enough for me to post on social media. So I got used to doing that. I did that for many years, and at one point I was doing it every day.
Really, every day, a
Every
new
day.
outfit.
And I wasn't even doing like a bunch of content for one day and then posting it. I was doing it in the morning. I do the photographs, take them, and then edit them and put them out on the same day. So it got into a kind of habit,
Yeah.
which I got tired of after a few years.
Really?
Yes.
So you did it for years?
Yes, I did it for years.
Goodness me.
I did it for years. If you go on my Instagram,
Yeah.
which is Jez's Eyes, plug.
This is all a plug, don't worry.
Yeah, it's a huge plug. So if you go back like a few years ago, it was just me in outfits and in the same pose, in the same location. People would ask like, "Oh my God, your wife's so patient taking all those photos of you." And it's like, no, I think nobody has the patience to do that. So I'd be doing that.
So what about that process was like stimulating for you? Was it the routine? Was it discipline? Was it testing new outfits? What made you want to do it every day?
Well, so I was in the Style Forum community, and part of that has a sub-thread called "What Are You Wearing Today?" where people post photos of themselves in whatever outfits they're wearing. I'm a bit extreme in the sense that I want really good photos of myself to be out there. So that's what started this, rather than going somewhere and getting someone to use their phone and take a photo. I wanted to stage it, get as nice photos as I possibly could, and then put those out there. And that got some kind of recognition. The style got some kind of recognition. I got interviewed in different places because of that. Photos of my outfits actually got into like some Swedish magazines. So I actually got in print that way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it was all good. It was all good. But that was what success breeds success.
Yeah.
And when you do something and you get good recognition for it, you want to keep doing it. So that's part of the reason I was doing it as well.
Yeah. What interested you in printing the photos compared to just posting it on social media? What about something physical why is that important to you?
I'll take a sidebar here.
Sure.
Something physical. There were 2 things. I did a workshop with Steve McCurry, who's one of my two top photographers, Steve McCurry and Jamie Ferguson. And surprise, Jamie is actually going to do the intro to my exhibition. He's going to write some stuff about it and give me some stuff. So yeah, I'm so pleased. But yeah, they are my 2 favorite photographers. I love the colors they get. I love the way they compose. And so I was going to do this workshop with Steve McCurry. When I talked to the organizer, I said, how can I best prepare to get the most out of this? He said, look, McCurry's one of these old school guys. He's not going to flip through a device. Print out your photos. And so I had them printed. I had them printed out. And they weren't my outfit photos. They were photos I'd taken in India on holiday, travel photos. Joe, I felt like a legit photographer then.
Yeah?
When I saw my photos in print, large size, it was really emotional. I almost felt like crying.
Really?
Yeah, because the colors were there. This was something I was holding in my hands. I just felt really legit. And one thing I was doing when I was traveling was I had a little, the new version of the Polaroid cameras. You can use them as printers. So, they can connect to your phone. You can print out whatever's on your phone. So what I was doing was using my SLR to take photos, edit them on the phone, then print them out on this little thing, and then I would give it to the subject.
Wow.
So in India, we went on this sunset cruise, and there was a musician that was, he was part of the hotel, but he was on the boat, and as the sun set, he took out his flute and he was playing music to the sun, not to the people in the boat. So he was busy playing, and I had my camera, of course, with me, and I took his photo. And he was still playing. I edited it, printed it out, and then when he was done, I went over and said, "Excuse me," and I gave it to him. He didn't know what it was till he saw it. Then you could see the stunned look on his face. And then he looked at me, held it to his chest, and then he kept looking at it.
That transcends language and communication.
Completely.
And
that's why I love taking portraits now. For the longest time, I was afraid to ask people whether I could take their portraits, that fear of rejection. And I got over it quite quickly because there is always another subject. If somebody says no, it's like, okay, yeah, no worries at all. There will always be somebody else. So I started doing this in India, and that culminated in the portraits you see in the exhibition now.
Yeah, wow.
You build a connection. As you're taking photos of the person, you're building a connection with them. They can see you admire the way they look. They can see that you're posing them to get the best possible outcome. And I think that really, they show their true selves.
And I think when you're in a flow state yourself,
yes,
people can acknowledge that,
yes,
and then work from that. Like with that guy
yes,
playing the flute, you could tell he was in the zone.
He was completely in the zone.
And that just lets you let go of what you were holding on to in that moment and connect there.
Exactly. So when I take a photograph of a musician, I've taken photographs of a very famous guitarist in Australia, and
who was it?
His name is Michael Fix. He's won a few Golden Guitar Awards at Tamworth, but I attended a guitar retreat of his, and I was asked to take photos of him. And one of the things I did was just to ask him to play, because sometimes when people are in front of camera, they feel that need to pose, and sometimes it looks artificial. They pose the way they think is going to look good, but it doesn't necessarily translate to the medium. So I just get them to play their instrument, and then they start being relaxed. They start getting into that flow state, and once they feel relaxed, that's when the magic happens.
I'm going to ask you a really complicated question, but it's really simple. Do you think photos have a sound?
I think they can. I think I took a photo. So one example is, and I'll show you afterwards, this photo I took in India for this martial arts demonstration. As part of the demonstration, what the guy did was he had this rod, and he had, I think he had some material on both ends that had petrol on it. He lit both sides of the rod, and he started turning it in a circle. So I managed to get a photo of all the sparks flying with this rod turning in a circle. And I think when you look at that, you can hear the sound. When you look at that photo, you can hear the sound of the sea.
Yeah.
So I think a good photo will have a sound.
What's your connection to music? What got you involved in doing music?
I've been playing music since I was 8. So I played the piano
for
since I
about
was
12
8.
years then, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just turned 21, so yes. So yeah, I've been playing music for a long time, playing the piano since I was 8, playing the guitar since, I was in my 20s. So I've been doing it for a long time. And I've stopped work. So I finished work. I've retired from my line of work in October 2023. But all the stuff that I'm into. I was doing on the side for a long time: photography, menswear, music. Now that I've stopped work, suddenly I have the space to go deeper into each of those disciplines. So I started taking guitar lessons again to go deeper into specific niches. I've got the headspace to go for photography workshops. I've got the headspace to organize an exhibition and actually do it.
Yeah.
So I've always had music. I've always been into playing music and listening to it. So it's always been there.
That's interesting. So you have all this time and
Yes.
bandwidth to engage in all these different creative activities and side hustles. How do you not get lost in all of that option and choice?
Well, I think if you have multiple things that you're interested in, one of those comes to the forefront and the rest step back. For me, anyway, I find it hard to devote the same level of energy to everything. It burns me out. So, for example, now it's photography. So, photography has come to the front, and the music stuff has kind of gone a bit back. I play gigs and stuff as well from time to time, and then the photography goes back. The menswear is kind of always there because
It's like your master stock.
well, I dress myself every day.
Yeah.
So, I just don't happen to photograph myself,
Yeah.
but I dress the same way I did when I was photographing myself. So, that's always there. So I'm not really thinking about it. But with the others, I find it hard to keep everything at the same level. So I think that if I'm progressing in one, it's about maintaining the others. Just keeping them bubbling at the right level. And then eventually, like say you're interested in a few different things, one's at the forefront, and at that level, once you hit that level and you're at a certain level in that, it's about maintaining that for a while. Well, you might be going to something else and bringing that up, but that thing's kind of still staying at that level. So yeah, it's a challenge, but it's fun. I don't have to worry about, annual reviews, daily meetings, any of this stuff. It gives me more time to do this. And the fantastic thing is, like with the exhibition, with the subjects, they're all working. So I had to work around their free time. So if they were free on a Sunday morning, yeah, no problem. If they happen to have a free day on a Wednesday, then we'll do it then. I didn't have to worry about, have I got a meeting then? Have I got to meet somebody? Have I got work to do? Any of that. I could work around them. So that's the awesome thing about having this space.
That is a bit of a privilege, though, that not too many creatives
Completely.
have.
Completely. So I really admire those that can fit in full-time work with all the other pursuits, because it's not something I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Do you have high expectations of yourself?
I do. As I said, like with the photos I take, everything I put out there, I want it to be good enough to hang on somebody's wall. I don't want to put fluff out there. I don't want them to be considered like happy snaps. I remember I was looking at some photos of an event, and a friend mentioned that these looked like they were taken by Microsoft Word, meaning that somebody had just put a camera there, click, 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 click,
Yep.
and that was it. I want everything of mine to be artistic in a way, and this is the other thing as well. How music relates to photography, which relates to any other art. You want to have your own voice. Ultimately, I want someone to look at a picture and say, yeah, that looks like something Gerry would have taken. Oh yeah, Gerry did it. Or, in terms of music as well, where you can hear somebody play a riff or a line, and without seeing who played it, you can tell that is their tone. So it's searching for that voice. So yes, I do have high expectations. But this is something that really resonated with me. I saw this special by this English comedian called Jimmy Carr.
Yep.
Yeah, which he's awesome.
He was just in Australia, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, so as you would know, he's got a few minutes in each show where he let the audience heckle him or ask questions or anything. This one particular show, the question was this: I'm a 16-year-old aspiring comedian. Have you got any advice for me? So he calls him up on stage and says, okay, let's do a selfie together. And then he does like a revolving view. So like, this is what awaits you as a comedian, you know, as you progress in your career. And the thing that stuck with me is that he said, the important thing is not to be the best, it's to be the only. So you don't necessarily want to be the best, because that implies competing with everybody else. And this sounds cheesy and like life coachy, but you want to be the best version of yourself. You know, so improve whatever you're doing to the point where you can't improve it anymore. So then the only person you're competing with is yourself and being better. That takes away a lot of pressure, because it's very easy to look out there and see what everybody else is doing. And I think as creatives, we hold ourselves to a very high standard, and it's very easy to get disheartened. You often think that the work you're doing is crap compared to everybody else, when the reality is far from that. But you're the one who sees all your flaws. Other people don't. They see it as it is. Yes.
I totally agree with the whole notion of creatives having high expectations. I have fallen victim to that. I've spoken a bit about this on the podcast before, where like when I would go to do an edit on a video, I hate an empty timeline, because it's just like, what do I do? How do I get going? And then the editing starts getting fun 30 minutes, an hour in, when the timeline's populated and there's elements there. And then it's really fun from that point to then the last, well, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 7 hours of fine tuning and tweaking. Because that's when the perfectionism kicks in. And you're a little bit like, how do I go there? So what advice would you have for creators who have too high of an expectation on themselves?
A couple of things. Firstly is to don't be so hard on yourself. Seek out opinions of people that you trust, which I did for this exhibition. And I'll talk about that person in a minute. But do the work. Give yourself a few days to refresh your vision, your view, whatever it is, and then come back to it. Because sometimes what you're seeing at the time isn't really there. You can't see the forest for the trees. You're just so involved in it, you see all the flaws. And sometimes those things don't really matter. And I've noticed this, you know, when playing music. I remember once I was playing this complicated guitar piece up on stage, and for whatever reason, nerves were getting to me. I felt like the roof of my mouth was dry, my fingers were turning to jelly, and I didn't know where I was going with this. I thought it sounded horrible. Fortunately, I had someone there who happened to be filming it. And so maybe a week later, he shared the video he took, and it actually sounded quite good. It didn't sound like anything that I remembered from the viewpoint of the person actually performing it. So our mind sometimes plays tricks. We always have these so-called voice in your head telling you that, nah, that's not good enough. That, you know, you can't give in to that. You know, sometimes you've got to have this attitude where, yeah, it may not be good enough, but I don't care. I'm just going to do it and come back to it. And, you know, going back to having, I don't know, mentors or people you trust. So there's a lady that's helping me with this exhibition, Aline. She's got a really good eye. She's an architect and a photographer. And so she's not someone who's a cheerleader. You know, you don't need cheerleaders in your life. So you don't need people who are going to say,
yes, man, and all that sort of stuff.
That's awesome, that's fantastic, it's the best you've ever done, when you know for yourself there could be flaws. You need someone who's going to tell it like it is, that, look, that's not bad, but you know, you could do this or you could do that to take it to the next level. So willingness to hear that feedback is good from people you trust. So yeah, she helped a lot with I took the photos, but I took a lot of photos for this exhibition. So there are 17 subjects. I took maybe 100 photos of each, narrowed it down to 5 for each person, stuck them all in a folder and then left it. And then a few days later, we both went through it to see which ones made the grade, which ones actually, evoked something in us. So having someone like that was invaluable. And, there's a few people that I couldn't have done this with. Steve, of course, is one of them. Aline is the other. Yeah.
Let's bring it back to the gallery just
Yes.
before we wrap it up.
Yes.
How do you want people to feel when they're at the gallery and experiencing the photos?
I want them to feel not that it's a high art exhibition. I want everything to be accessible. I want there to be some kind of recognition that the subjects were not models. They were not styled for the shoot. These are all people who dress this way, and they live among us.
Yeah.
They are among us in Melbourne. These are my fellow people, and the photos I've taken are just of some of those people. And I organized this event with somebody else called the Suit Walk, where everyone dressed up in their version of a suit, and then we promenaded through the city, and coincidentally ended up at Informale. But the thing is, during that suit walk, there were women who were fantastically dressed in that kind of style as well. So eventually I want to do an exhibition that has women as well as men.
Okay.
But the first one's men,
Yeah.
for the reason I mentioned, yes.
Jerry, we wrap up the podcast
Yep.
by the previous guest leaving a question for you. They don't really know who you are,
Okay.
and you don't know who it comes from. But the question for you today is, how do you keep your work evolving after many years in the photography industry?
That's a very interesting question. Keeping the work evolving, for me, is about always having an open mindset and always wanting to learn, because there's always stuff you can learn. It's about seeing how photographers do certain things and seeing whether you can take what they've done and incorporate it in your own work. So for that reason, I think, going to exhibitions, seeing other photographers' work, trying to understand what they're intending, how they've achieved it, sometimes the technical aspects as well. So all that sort of stuff helps to make your work better. Seeking feedback from more experienced photographers. One particular person, he's a well-known photographer. His name is Christian Dowling. He talked to me about editing my photos, and his philosophy was, it was about correcting as opposed to enhancing. So what results is that you get a more natural looking photo rather than something that's artificial, in my case anyway. So things like that, and this is something I picked up in the last year. This is not something that has been there for years. So I'm constantly learning. I learned stuff at the Steve McCurry workshop as well. I asked him, I think I must have bugged him so much because it was my one and only chance to experience this guy. So
But teachers want to teach.
Yes.
So don't worry too much
Yes.
if you're annoying someone, if
Yes.
if it's in a setting like that.
Well, I got so much out of it that I used it for this exhibition.
Oh, fantastic.
So I asked him, how do you take those portraits of subjects where the subject is all lit up and the background's completely black, knowing that you're not a studio photographer, you use natural light only. So he demonstrated it to me, and that was like a light bulb moment. And I've just been practicing using that since then, since August last year.
Fantastic. I think it's often a bit of advice used for like business owners and this sort of stuff, but you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you should be listening. But I think when it comes to art as well, the expression could almost be you've got 2 eyes and 1 mouth
Yes.
for a reason.
Yes.
So look around, see what other people are doing, understand your peers, then who you aspire to be, but the people who you aspire to be, who did they aspire to be? Where does it sort of all go? Where does art all come from? And so keep watching, keep listening, and then you'll get your time to speak.
Yes.
And that will be wonderful. And after you've spoken, listen again, watch again,
Absolutely.
and try again. Yeah.
Understand who inspired your mentors.
Mm.
You know, go to the roots of the tree.
I'm going to give my mentor a shout out. He's a guy named Jan. I worked for him when I was living in Germany.
Yes.
He's a staunchly Berliner, West Berliner type.
Yes.
He was 16 years old when the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
And it's just opened his life. He studied film in New York and worked in all sorts of shoots. He's produced rap albums and done all sorts of stuff.
Amazing.
And I met him working as an intern doing post-production VFX.
Yep.
And he just switched me on to a level of discipline when it came to production that I have yet to sort of see in anyone else. And I remember when I would pitch something to someone, I would send him the pitch deck,
Yep.
and he would pixel by pixel analyze and ask me questions. And I'd be like, oh, that's just a range. I don't really mean it. He goes, well, you wrote down that range. That is what you mean.
Yes.
So if it's not what you mean, write down what you mean. And so it was good to see and have someone like that just push me going. And I'm still in touch with him
Yes.
4 years later.
We need someone like that that pushes us.
Yeah.
You know, I think the point at which you say to yourself, I know photography, is the point at which you should stop photographing.
Yeah.
Because there's always so much to learn.
Absolutely. Well, Gerry, this has been absolutely fantastic. It's been too long since we've seen each other
Yes.
with friends and all that. But I am looking forward to going to the exhibition. I'll be there on opening night, March 27th.
Yes, 6:30 onwards.
6:30 onwards. You'll see me there. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It's been a pleasure to just sit and upload all the stuff from my mind.
No, of course.
Yes, it's been really fun. Thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome. And if you want to find out what Gerry is asking next week's guest, tune in next week to find out. Thanks, everyone. See you around.